Okay, so boom, y'all already know what time it is. You're now tuned in with your guy, Big Joe and Little Joe. Pop, you got something you want to say real quick?
Man, they know what's going on out there, man. It's just, every day trying to get on here with you, be excited about what we're gonna talk about, man. Tell
Yeah, I'm
everybody
just
I play for the support though. Appreciate the support, you know what I'm saying?
yeah, I'm just gonna come off the top of the head, man. You know, I've been doing a lot of stories, and then the stories here recently,
Mm,
about when us being in the cell together. I
yeah,
always reflect on moments when I feel like, let me think of the right words, where maybe you didn't actually know how to be, the father, or realize,
right,
when I wanted attention, or when you was
right,
doing something that I felt like, you should have moved different. For instance, like
right.
if I came in and you was on the phone.
I knew you was gonna say that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Come on
yeah.
with it.
If I knew you was on the phone with baby or something, it just seemed like,
Yeah,
uh, your undivided attention was there
right,
instead of, And as a father, I just thought about it because I'm like, maybe a lot of men who weren't necessarily taught how to be fathers, maybe it's a blind
right,
area, a lot of things, that you can't see, or you're afraid
right,
to do, or you probably aware to do it, or probably just don't feel like you got the deserve to do it, or I
yeah.
don't know, maybe it could
Well,
be. Go ahead.
a lot of shame and guilt goes along with it. I'm gonna go back a little further in the psyche when it deals with that, right? Like when you're dealing with a child, right?
Mm-hmm.
At a certain age, like young or whatever, it's an automatic thing for whether you're a parent, like me, if I was out there with you when you were younger as a kid, that automatically I would want to play with you and nurture you and stuff like that. And when you would come in the room, I wouldn't ignore you, right?
Mm-hmm.
But as you got older, you know what I'm saying? And the situation was totally different for us because I got to know you more in here than out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I meet you, you're an adult, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even though I still see you as a child, I don't know how to interact. I
Mm-hmm.
want to do the things that a daddy would do, that you would try to raise and teach a child, but I don't know how to do that when you're an adult. You see what I'm saying? And it felt awkward to me, where it's a lot of times, when I was on the phone with baby, it wasn't about ignoring you. I didn't know what to do. You
Mm-hmm.
see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because we would talk about that a lot, and she couldn't give me no advice. Nobody could give me any advice on how to do that, how to parent as an adult to another adult, especially when I never had any experience other than the first year of your life. You feel what I'm saying? I
Right.
can remember those times putting you on my shoulders, playing with you and stuff like that. But as an adult, how do I do that? Nobody ever showed me that. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't know what to do. Because you got to remember, where I'm pulling my knowledge base from as far as being a parent is my daddy,
Right.
right?
Right.
And my daddy wasn't there. You know what I'm saying? When you get to talking about generation of crime, my daddy wasn't there for the most part either. You
Right.
see what I'm saying? So I learned what I learned from my grandparents, and it was more standoffish when it comes to, okay, what do I do?
Right.
How do I do that? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I get that. I feel like.
But let me say this. But like I say, but when I was home with you and Montrez, I knew what to do. It was because I was mimic what I had saw, what I had learned, but I didn't know how to mimic. How do you be a parent to an adult? You know what I'm saying, or a young man? I didn't know. I had no experience in that. I had no experience in that.
Bro, I feel like most black men specifically, I feel
Yeah.
like even with Samaria, coming
Right.
home, which I was able to get ahead in a lot of situations because I did have the experience of being around you. Now, I'm
Right.
gonna go back to, when Tim was around, right?
Okay.
It's weird because uh having some kind of role model around, for some reason, I didn't tap into, you know, things that I feel maybe he did that was beneficial to me as a kid.
Right. Right.
I took it from you. So,
Right.
and I ain't saying this could apply to anybody and everybody, but it's kind of weird that uh, I wouldn't apply, certain things that came from somebody that was around, but I
Yeah.
more so like it was more embedded you know, paying attention to my biological.
That's in the DNA, man.
You feel what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, that's in the DNA. But here's the thing where, and I don't want this to be something that a lot of people would take negative, right? But the facts are this, man. When a person, when a parent, particularly a parent, goes to prison, right?
Mm-hmm.
That connection between the kids and the parent needs to be emphasized more if that parent is on the right path. You feel me? You don't need to be, because if you got a parent in prison still on the nonsense, like I was in a lot of situations, you know what I'm saying? I had one foot in, one foot out when it comes to my morality and how I executed that, my moral compass. But that connection between the parent and the child needs to be emphasized more so that child can understand who they are and where they came from. You know what I'm talking about?
I agree.
Yeah, because it's no getting away from that. And when you have a parent, and this is no slight against anybody, but when you have a parent that's out there on the streets that says, you just like your daddy, that sparks a curiosity.
Right.
In the child that needs to be explained.
I agree.
You feel?
I agree.
And not said in haste, or not said when you're just angry about it. You know, when they do something to make you laugh and you say you just like your dad or you just like your mom, explain that to them so they can understand that, where they get that behavior from.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
But people don't do that for some reason, because when the parent goes to prison, it's like life goes on. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times they might not have time to focus on, let me make sure I focus on this child and let this child know where they came from, who they came from. But you got to be careful about that, like I say, because you got a lot of parents that come to prison that are full of mess. Mm-hmm. Let me say it like this, they don't even know themselves. You feel what I'm saying? So they can't really be of any benefit to the child when they don't know themselves, because they're struggling through too, trying to do and say the right things. You feel me? Like I did with y'all. I would say certain things, don't do this, don't do that, play basketball, do this, do that. But I'm over here doing everything under the sun. You see what I mean? Mm-hmm. And those things that were under the sun, that influenced y'all. You feel what I'm saying?
Right.
In some situations, I even helped y'all. You feel what I mean? Yeah. Trying to be a friend more than a parent. But go ahead now.
I was going to say, because I brought this up to you yesterday, a lot of parents don't realize that a present parent can be just as detrimental to a child's growth if they not, doing everything that they supposed to do and nurturing what they supposed to be nurturing and having their priorities together the way they should be together and doing things in life that will sow into the child. It's already made up as if you're less fortunate and underprivileged and don't have whatever A, B, and C because of the absent parent.
Yeah, but see, you got to remember, I don't know if you remember, I think I mentioned this yesterday, so I don't know if I went into detail. Me and you had a conversation about that. You may not remember that, because you were shooting at me about if I would have been there this and I would have been there that. And I agree that could have been, but that was not a guarantee if I would have been there this. And I shot back at you and said, you can blame me all you want to, and I accept it because I am wrong. I abandoned y'all. You feel what I'm saying? By putting my own selfish thoughts ahead of y'all. So you were right in that. But when we had that conversation, when we was up at Northeast, where I think you were wrong was this. You didn't say anything about the people that were there that influenced you, because they had more of an influence, in my opinion, on you directly. Because they could have, well, again, let me say it like this, because I don't want to slight anybody, because I truly applaud the people that were there. And you're like, I do, man, and I don't want anybody to think that I don't appreciate what they did for you in my trip, because I really, really, to the heart and soul of me, I do. But at the same time, it's like the people that are there have an influence over you too.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And they need to be more, they're more present than I could be, or any parent that's in prison can be. And it can't be that the child cannot be left to their own devices to conclude that their life would be better if daddy or mama was there. You feel what I'm saying? The people that are there need to say to them, look, your dad ain't here, your mom ain't here, but we gonna make this thing work. Right. You feel what I'm saying? We not gonna look for excuses. We gonna do these things. We gonna struggle, but we gonna do this. You gotta have an adult, childlike conversation with that that child. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you allow the child to raise up with the mindset of being able to say, make excuses
Yeah.
for themselves. I didn't have A, B, and C, X, Y, and Z in my life. So, you know what I'm saying? It creates room to make an excuse.
That leads to them making excuses in other aspects of their life.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
And the parent has to step. The present parent has to step in.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna tell you something else you just made me think of when you said that. But see, a lot of times when you have the present parent that don't know what to do, they want that excuse to be out there.
Of course.
They want the excuse that life ain't good because of this.
Yeah.
If he was here, we would be doing better.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to take any responsibility for where they're at and what they're doing.
I agree.
All because your dad ain't here. Now, you can't use that 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, 15 years down the road. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because what have you been doing? You feel what I'm saying?
Because on the back end, if life was everything they wanted it to be, it would be, we didn't need you. As you can see, we're good. But when it ain't, or it's behavior problems or trouble or financial issues, it's a blame game.
It's a blame game.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, it's a blame game. And that, again, even for, like, if it leads to a child learning to make excuses for why they can't achieve certain things, it sets that same behavior up for the parents that are in present. They will always find excuses for their situation not being what it is that they want it to be.
Mm-hmm.
They won't rationalize. They won't conclude that I'm not putting in the work.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
They won't conclude that because that's more direct and that's more of you having to take personal responsibility for your situation, not because somebody that you were involved with happened to end up in prison and is gone out of your life. You still have life to live.
Right.
You feel what I'm saying? And that child still needs to be raised.
Right.
And it's unfortunate that we have a lot of kids out there that don't have both parents in the household directly there because one is in prison. It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
And it's a tragedy in my opinion.
And
but it shouldn't preclude you from taking care of the business, even though it's going to be harder. Yeah. One parent is hard, man, but it can be done.
Right. And I don't want nobody to think, you know what I'm saying, this is any kind of excuse. And as you can see, you know, y'all have heard me take responsibility. My daddy, you've heard my pops take responsibility. I like this conversation because it broadens it puts things in more perspective instead of just a one-way conversation. Only one way to look at it, one way to view it, and that's it. That's clean cut and dry. When the truth of the matter is, it's not, because you got kids who done great in their life and had one parent.
Right.
Like we were saying, you got other kids that probably didn't have a parent, and you using that as an excuse. When really, you know, it's really not, man. It's really not. And I don't know why some kids like to try to gravitate towards going to the street life. They so badly want to be able to say they didn't have such and such in their life, and I don't know what kind of sympathy sob, you know what I'm saying, excuse that why that is gravitated towards. Like most people who wasn't even raised in the hood, they want to say, you know, they struggled and got it out the mud, and the only thing they ate is noodles all their life, when the truth of the matter is you're alive. Y'all had plenty in your refrigerator, your mama cooked half the time, you could eat fat, but for some reason they just obsessed with being able to say, with having the excuse of, I come from the slum. You really didn't.
Right.
And,
but I think, let me say something on that real fast, boo. I think that a lot of that is part of the cultural. It's part of the cultural adaptation that we have, as far as like everything that you see when you after now growing up, especially if you look at it in the wrong direction. You see celebrities, you know what I'm saying, talking about getting it out of the mud. And half them ain't live like that. You know what I'm saying? And even if they did live like that, they're not living like that anymore. And they use that to promote themselves so they can continue to make money, not realizing that some kids are going to listen to that and believe that this is a way.
Right.
You feel me? When they don't have to put it, because look, if you take those kids, like what you just said a second ago, whether they come from a hard background or not, if they say, okay, this is easier right here to be getting A's in school. This is easier than me, you know what I'm saying, obeying my parents and doing this and doing that so I can be able to have these privileges and so on and so forth. It erodes away at kids being responsible for their actions. It erodes at kids respecting authority, mainly starting first with the Most High, and then the parents, and then out in the community. It erodes at that, but we don't pay attention to that because a lot of the parents are out there celebrity worshiping too. You know what I'm saying? The wrong ones. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I ain't gonna hold y'all up long, man. I hope y'all took something from that conversation, man, and it could have went a little deeper. If y'all got any questions concerning this conversation, because I'm pretty sure, you know, it's a lot of parents out here who probably they go to being, you know, when whatever the case may be, you know, the absent parent is more so to blame for whatever the circumstances are or what their kid may be lacking, and you know what I'm saying. So if y'all got any questions concerning this conversation, not to say that you're at fault. No, I'm just saying let's make it. It's more to put in perspective when you having that conversation, because you know y'all know I'm a straight shooter, right? It's a lot of parents who priorities are screwed up. You don't care nothing about credit. You don't care nothing about financial literacy. You don't care nothing about being the role model that you're trying to. You want to tell your child to be A, B, and C, and X, Y, and Z, and do all of these things, and you haven't done them yourself. And then, or if you have done them yourself, the other areas that's lacking, you don't want to own up to the shortcomings of whatever you may see in the child. So your go-to probably is, you know, the absent parent. But yeah, I'd love to get more in depth in this conversation. So if you got any questions, man, drop them in the comment section. If you ain't already following my Daddy Podcast, YouTube, go to the YouTube. It's Doing Time with Joe. It's DOIN Time with Joe. I'm gonna put the link in. Listen, what I'm gonna tell y'all. Listen. I'm gonna put the link in the description. Cause y'all still ask where the page at. I just gave you 2 ways to find the page. You say you type in Doing Time with Joe in search, it's gonna pop up. You go to the description for the people who say, I can't find it in the description. You see them 3 little dots right there? When you look on, you click them dots, it's gonna unfold like that. You're gonna see Doing Time with Joe. And it's gonna be right there. But if you just type it in, Doing Time with Joe, it's gonna be right there in front of you. It's gonna be right there in front of you. Yeah. But Pops, you got something you want to say?
Hey man, look, like I say always, man, y'all know what's going on, man. But I appreciate always doing the shows with you, man. I wish we could get more in depth in this on this topic for sure. But we can do that another time, man. But I love y'all, man. That's all I'm gonna say. You know what I'm saying?
Man, y'all hold it down, and me know that I put something in the video for you to see. You know what I'm saying? A little something I was munching on. You know. It be, you know,
what you munching on, man? There you go, man.
We'll get you something when you get here.
That's what's up.
Hey, y'all hold it down. I love y'all.